With respect to Hezbollah, in a January 2008 interview, you said that Israel needs to suffer a big defeat for peace talks to occur. How big of a defeat in terms of casualties and destruction would you say?
Well,
and I have another question. Did you attend the Holocaust Denial Conference in Iran?
no. Is that the point of that answer?
No,
Well, that's a question like, when did you stop beating your wife? You know full well I didn't attend the conference. You know it full well. The only reason you asked the question was to plant that idea in the audience's mind. You know I didn't attend. It's a filthy comical question to ask me. It's a filthy question to ask me. I'm sorry, young man. You know full well my late parents were in the Nazi Holocaust. You know full well they were in the concentration camps. You know full well my family was exterminated during the war. To ask that question of me is filthy, and I'm going to say it straight to your face. Now, in answer to the first serious question, yes, I did say that Israel needs to suffer a major defeat. If you ask me what kind of defeat, well, I'll give you a simple answer. You read Martin Van Krevel, one of Israel's leading military authorities. He says Israel is a more militarized state than Germany was between 1871, that's under the era of Bismarck, till 1945. That's through the Nazi era. Israel is a more militarized state. And in my view, Israel needs to suffer a defeat just like the Germans and the Japanese suffered during World War II to finally shake it up and bring it back to its senses. It is carrying on like a marauding state, a vandal state. These are not words. It's not rhetoric. Look yourself at the record. Last year, the National Intelligence Estimate came out with the conclusion that Iran was no longer involved in a program to develop nuclear weapons. Every country in the world, all the people of the world, including an overwhelming majority of Americans, sighed a breath of relief. There's not going to be a war with Iran. Every country in the world except Israel, where both the government and overwhelmingly the population were pushing for a war with Iran. That's a problem. It's become a lunatic state. And I don't say that with any kind of gratification or happiness, because among other things, I think its lunacy is going to lead inexorably to its destruction. And I don't see any virtue in that. I don't see any reason to be happy about that. The destruction of any country, the destruction of any people is something that we should all recoil at and look at with horror. But that's the direction it's going. It's a very odd thing, but it's probably true. But the best thing that that happened to Germany was that defeat it suffered in 1945. It became a normal country. The most peace-loving, the most morally serious, the most decent of all Europeans are clearly the Germans. That defeat shook up the society. I think it was a good thing. And frankly, I think it would be a good thing for Israel if it too suffered a devastating defeat. That's correct.